Welcome to episode 2 of Under the Radar. I am your host, Sammy Bovitz. Today is a big day because we have some much more fun teams. The first episode, which was last week, it was sort of a feeling out process, if you will. This week we're going all in on the teams. The A's, the Jaguars, the Bucks are your teams this week. It's going to be amazing. These teams are so much better than the teams we had last week. Although every team, no matter where they are, has an interesting story. As you guys may have heard from the first episode, that is the founding belief behind this show. This week, and the audio might not be so good, but this week we are going to have our first ever guest on this show, and it's a good friend of mine, Eli Pearl. You can follow him on Instagram, The Debatable Eli Pearl. He's got some great shows. He's got some great things coming up for sports broadcasting camps. I love him. He's great. National Sports Radio is lucky to have him, and he will be on Under the Radar tonight to talk A's and Jaguars. So I'd like to talk about the A's first, if you guys wouldn't mind. We're going to get right into it. If you guys need a description of what the show is about, what we need, of course, check out the first episode. I got a full 2-minute long description in there for you. But let's talk about the A's. Chris Davis is, of course, the biggest story on the A's. Chris Davis, he is with a K, not with a C. People may know his C moniker is in Baltimore with the Orioles, formerly with Manny Machado, but he's a Dodger now, so there's that. So Chris Davis is in Baseball Reference listed as a left fielder and a designated hitter. And why he's listed as a designated hitter, you might ask? Because he has 42 home runs this season. And the thing is, everybody's talking about him this year, but this is not a new thing. You look at his past seasons. He hit 43 last year. He hit 42 in 2016. He hit 24, so respectable in 2016. Milwaukee, he hit 27 in Milwaukee. He hit, and then he hit 22 in 2014 and 11 in his rookie year. So really, a solid all-around player. So you guys got to think about this. His 162 game average is that he's played in all the games. His 162 game average is that over the course of 162 games, he is averaged to hit 42 home runs over the course of 40 home runs over the course of artificial 162 games. Any given 162 games, he will probably have hit 40 home runs, and that's the average. But the one guy who I think is very interesting is the A's so-called ace. You look at their depth chart, and their ace is listed as Mike Fiers right now. But the guy that's on a 10-day deal is what everybody has been considered as the ace for a while, by the name of Sean Manaea. And Sean Manaea, he's on a 10-day deal right now, but everybody's wondering what's going on with him. He had a shoulder injury. He had season-ending shoulder surgery. But everybody's asking, is he the guy for the future? And I'm looking at his stats. No, he's not. And Sean Manaea, he's an enigma of a player. Everybody thinks he could be like Sonny Gray, great, consistent, good starter, possibly an ace for a team that would need one. But he's been 7-9, 12-10, and 12-9 over the past 3 seasons. That is pretty much average. His 162 game average is 13-12. He has a 525 career win-loss percentage. He's got a 3.94 career. He's basically a respectable pitcher, but not the one that the A's thought he would be. Eli Pearl is going to join us very, very soon. But let's also talk about. These are just a couple of topics that I'm just throwing out there to start with, and we'll go more in depth with them and revisit them in just a moment. But the one that I like the most is the story that I think is the most interesting, actually, is the one of the Jurri's Familia trade. And the Mets, this was not an expected move by the Mets. I remember last year, the Mets' unexpected moves have always seemed to involve closers. Like last year, I was extremely surprised if the Marlins would trade A.J. Ramos, one of their few good players, to a fellow cellar dweller in their own division. But the Mets made one big move. This was the A's pretty much one big splash over the free agency period. They got Jurri's Familia. They traded third base prospect Will Toffey, right-handed pitcher Bobby Wall, and $1 million towards the international free agency pool. So really, pretty much nothing for him. I'm looking at everybody's, and Bobby Wall is fading more. He is rookie status right now. He's going to be a September call-up somewhere down the line. Will Toffee has been ranked anywhere between 50 to 20 in the A system. So he's definitely, these guys are definitely good. But you're looking at Jeurys Familia, and you're wondering how does he fit in? But actually, he doesn't need to fit in. This trade was made to challenge the Yankees. And why do I say the Yankees? Because that's what they're going to be facing the wild card. If everybody plays their cards right, that's the wild card matchup we're going to see. We're going to see the small town, gritty, barely any fans show up. We're going to see those A's against the crazy, stacked, talented, big market New York Yankees. And I would love that. And as your under the radar host, I would love to see the A's win that, because that would really prove that they're really a force to be reckoned with. And what I think is especially interesting is that let's go back to the point of the A's bullpen for a second. Is that Blake Trinan is their closer. Blake Trinan, by the way, is another amazing story, and we'll get to him in a moment. But this is what we're coming back to with the Jeurys Familia trade. They have Blake Trinan. Jeurys Familia. People love Lou Trevino. I've heard a little about him. I've only heard good things though. Fernando Rodney. Is that Fernando Rodney? Yeah, Fernando Rodney is in their bullpen now for some reason. Sean Kelly, who's been up and down, but I loved him on the Nationals. Personally, I thought he was an under the radar player himself. He's been great for them. They have a stacked bullpen. I'm looking at that very, very stacked, unfairly, I think. But then, the Yankees bullpen is crazy, because before, you guys remember, the Yankees had Aroldis Chapman, which, by the way, if you have Aroldis Chapman, that's ridiculous enough. But now they have, wait for it, Dylan Betances, Zach Britton, David Robertson, Chad Green, Jonathan Holder, who's been great. They've got Sonny Gray's in the bullpen now, because their rotation is now. Tommy Kane, I can't pronounce his name, but he's been great for them. If Jordan Montgomery, by the way, were off the DL, somebody would also be in the bullpen too. I'm betting probably Lance Lynn, but I'm not sure. And once more starters join the Yankees bullpen, they're going to be even more stacked going into the postseason. But I'm looking at the Yankees, and I'm seeing how they stack up against the wonderful Oakland A's team, and I think that there's definitely advantages to both sides. I mean, first of all, Crush Davis is the best left fielder, I think, probably in the league. He's listed as their DH now, so you got a debate between Crush Davis and Giancarlo Stanton. What a debate that is! Everybody normally, if you're not educated about this, would say Giancarlo Stanton in a heartbeat. Let me tell you why you are wrong. Okay, I'm going to stop that right there, and I'll pick up on that later, because we have the one and only Eli Pearl on the line. Alright, here we go. Hey, Eli.
Sorry, I'm just at the mall with friends. Here, you start the show, and...
I've already started the show. You're on the air right now.
Okay. Sorry, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it.
Alright, man. Okay.
Sorry. I'll call you when I'm done. Sorry, I just told to grab up and hang out.
Okay. Alright.
Sorry.
Alright, Eli, I'll text you and we'll call. Alright. So our first caller was was interesting. Eli was gonna join us. I'm gonna, keep in touch with him, see if he, changes his mind. But we'll see. You never know. I'm gonna just pick up from there. Let's talk about Giancarlo Stanton, because in comparison to Crush Davis, because that is what I was going to talk about before the call came in. If you look at Crush Davis' stats this season, he is a pure power hitter, but his averages stayed quite respectable at 249, up from 247 each of the last 3 years. His second best average since his rookie year, when he probably was told to hit less homers. On the other hand, Giancarlo Stanton, he has hit for 265 this year, which seems a little high, honestly. But you're looking at the strikeouts, which I think is definitely telling. So Crush Davis has struck out 162 times, which is still a lot. But Giancarlo Stanton, Next time he strikes out, he will have struck out 200 times in a season. That's right. He's already struck out 199 times. Giancarlo Stanton's OBP is 341. You look at Crush Davis's, it's 328. So I mean, they're the same. People are debating about this, but I honestly think that you can make a statement that Crush Davis is better than Giancarlo. At least this year. Last year, obviously, Giancarlo was ridiculous. 59 homers, 132 RBIs, 281 average. He was insane last year. And when he had those numbers when the Marlins really needed him to. But now with that stacked lineup the Yankees now have, Crush Davis might have the upper hand. And Crush Davis is currently the leader in home runs. And guys, I don't know how weird this is, but I was watching the home run derby, and I was thinking about, there was only one AL player in Alex Bregman in the home run derby, and I know it was kind of ranked up where they were right now, but I think they need to shake their rankings up, because here are the MLB home run leaders right now. Crush Davis, 42, Oakland. JD Martinez, Boston, 41. Jose Ramirez, Cleveland, 38. Joey Gallo, Texas, 37. Nelson Cruz, Seattle, 36. Francisco Lindor is tied for 6th with 35. So the top 6 home run hitters as of today, September 16th, are all AL players. But of course, Francisco Lindor is tied with Matt Carpenter, who's been a great story. I think I'll probably get to him later. And then Mr. Manny Machado. Yeah. But right now, Crush Davis is on pace for 46 home runs. Chris Davis, he's been amazing. I really think Crush Davis, he's just, I can't really describe him because he's been amazing this year. And his WAR, of course, is up 2.7 as opposed to 0.9 3 years ago. I mean, really just a great turnaround story. But what I want to talk about for a second, this really doesn't involve any stats. This is more of a story element. I want to talk about the Oakland Raiders effect. And I think this is interesting, and I know fans from both teams will protest this, but you got to consider the other team when you're talking about the A's and the Raiders, because the Oakland A's this year, they celebrated their 50th anniversary game, that 50th anniversary. And the A's have been trying to sell tickets for a long time to compete with the Raiders, because of course now football is king. But the thing is, the A's have never been able to get that attendance up. So, the A's, they decided to celebrate their 50th anniversary. We're having a free game, free game against the White Sox, and that's why they had this experiment, which was so you could have around 47,000 seats in the stadium, but the A's had 46,028 tickets. People that passed 46,028 people that showed up, 2,000 shy of capacity for baseball. But believe me, the A's have a problem because it was not packed. The stadium was packed, but it wasn't full. It was not full, and it wasn't needed. And there's another top of the structure that's usually used for football. It wasn't needed. It was empty. The stadium was not packed. This is a free game we're talking about. Free. You do not have to pay any money to go to this game. I would definitely go to this game, by the way. A free baseball game, I would definitely go. But that's besides the point. If you're a fan in Oakland and you're not going to go to a free game and not fill up that upper deck, the A's have a problem. But I think that problem is going to be solved. Even if the A's don't get a new stadium, because the Coliseum has been described as way too many things that I cannot say on this podcast. The A's are moving in a couple years to Las Vegas, and everybody's hating this. Everybody thinks, this is a money grind move, but this is amazing for the A's. The A's launched an ad campaign last year called Rooted in Oakland, where it stressed that the A's are loyal to Oakland. They're a team that Oakland could count on, can be proud of, and won't move away from them. Not explicitly, they didn't say that explicitly, but of course, I think that's kind of what they meant, don't you? So, the A's, it's fascinating because the A's have so many great players. Crush Davis, Sean has been weird for that. Their bullpen is stacked. And then, of course, there's Matt Chapman. And, Blake Trinan, as I was saying before. But Matt Chapman, I want to talk about Matt Chapman for a second. Because Matt Chapman has been, this year at least, one of the best third basemen, not the best third baseman in baseball. He's 25 years old. He's had a breakout year this year. This is like Moneyball genius right here. He's had 23 home runs, 64 RBIs. He's had a 282 average, 362 OBP, 885 OPS. You can do the math for the slugging percentage. He's hit 6 triples. He's hit 40 doubles. His walks are up. They haven't intentionally walked him, but his strikeouts are also up. But that's kind of the point because, he's a power hitter now. Compare that to last year when he hit 234, 313 OBP. He had 23 doubles, only 14 home runs. Everything has been improved for him, and everybody is realizing this is a sophomore surge from Mr. Chapman. And you know what? I think it's great. I think I would want Matt Chapman on my team any day, unless, you're the Dodgers or the Astros or whatever, and you already have a good third baseman. There's lots, the Rockies. What am I saying? Nolan Arenado, of course. But the A's have so many interesting players and are so exciting. But my question is, when it comes to that playoff game, if the A's get a playoff game at home, and I'm saying they're gonna have to beat the Yankees and they'd have to beat the Yankees in order to have at least one playoff game at home. If the A's can make their fans excited about a playoff game at home, can that stadium fill up even though it's not a free game? What do the A's have to do to gain the trust of their fans? And I think what it is win consistently and get some big names. Chris Davis is their big name for them right now. We hear a couple of their starters. They're all amazing, but tell me, have you heard of Steven Piscotty, Marcus Semien, Judd Lowry, Chad Pinder, Matt Olson, Mike Fiers, Brett Anderson, Trevor Cahill, Edwin Jackson, who, by the way, is the best, who I'll get to in a little bit, but he is the most fun journeyman ever. No, these guys don't know these people, and the team always changes. And I feel like that's not their problem, but winning is the best medicine. If the A's can win on a level that the Raiders have not been able to in the last 5 years at least, the A's will draw fans, and we can see some great crowds for the playoffs come October. And I think October will come. The A's have challenged the Astros, they've challenged the A's, they've challenged the Yankees, they've challenged a lot of the elite teams in the AL very, very seriously. And I love that. And, to wrap up the A's, because we got a minute and a half left, I want to talk about Edwin Jackson, who's so fun. He's had a great resurgence season. He's been 5-3, 3.17 ERA. But what I want to talk about is all of his teams. Here's who he's played for: the Angels, the Dodgers, the Rays, the Tigers, Arizona, the Chicago White Sox, the White Sox again, the St. Louis Cardinals, the Washington Nationals, the Chicago Cubs, Atlanta, Miami, San Diego, Baltimore, Washington again, and now Oakland. Edwin Jackson has played for a lot of teams. He is, truly the most fun guy to follow and root for. Because when he's been on so many teams, you kind of root for him, And you know I kind of root for him. I don't want him to move too much, but wouldn't it be so fun if this guy played for all 30 Major League Baseball teams? I feel like that would just be so fun to have a guy that will play on every single Major League stadium will be like as a player at home. I think that'd be so fun to see. But that's gonna about wrap it up for the A's. They're an interesting team. They can't sell tickets. They can get win. They can't sell tickets, but they can buy wins. They're a great team. Look out for them in October. They could surprise some people. And with that, we are going to move on to our second team. So, our second team, guys, is a team that I've been excited about. And I considered having them for my first episode, but I just wanted to save it for a little bit because this team is, glorious for me to talk about. This team is so fun. This team is a team who, as we speak, are up 31-20 on the Patriots with 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter and have the ball. This is a team that challenged the New England Patriots before they were upset by the Eagles in the Super Bowl. This is a team that could win the Super Bowl this year. This is the most exciting new team and young team in football. I want to talk about the Jacksonville Jaguars. And why am I so pumped to talk about them? Because even though they're really good, no one thinks they're good enough. I've questioned them endlessly. Even their own fans think, we'll screw it up somehow. It's like Mets philosophy. These guys cannot accept that their team is great. And that their team can be great. And the one guy that's bad, every person scrambling for an excuse, as a go-to excuse of who to blame, everybody talks about Blake Bortles. Blake Bortles, if you haven't heard of him, is the quarterback for the Jacksonville Jaguars, who everyone has an opinion on. Everyone. By what I'm saying, everyone has an opinion. Some people think he could be good or great, but other people think he's the worst quarterback in the National Football League. He was drafted. With the third pick in the 2014 NFL Draft. Third pick overall. Drafted behind Jadeveon Clowney and Greg Robinson, and just ahead of Sammy Watkins and Khalil Mack and Mike Evans. That's where Blake Bortles was drafted. And people have questioned him endlessly. He's thrown 17, 18, 16, and 13 interceptions in his first 4 years in the NFL. But what people need to consider is in his last 3 years in the NFL, he's thrown 35, 23, and 21. Now, of course, Leonard Fournette has an effect on this, but everybody is frustrated with Blake Bortles because he throws 20 interceptions. But the thing is, they put him in a good fit. The thing is, the system that the Jaguars have placed in Bill Bortles' hands is designed to combat his shortcomings. And that's why I think it's a genius defense. I think this is a genius offensive scheme because they know Blake Bortles is flawed, but they know they can make him work. He has a system in UCF, yes, that cater to him. And if you can cater to Blake Bortles' weird throwing motion and just awkward playing style in general, if you can cater to him, to his needs, he can be a great quarterback for your football team. Not great. Probably really good. But see, I'm doubting him right now. Right? It's kind of built in now. It's crazy. But, I mean, as much as I like to talk about Blake Bortles and how he can be good, we got to talk about the one reason why the Jaguars are talked about so much right now. And that is their amazing, amazing defense. Now, see if you know any of these names. Malik Jackson, Calais Campbell, Telvin Smith Sr., Miles Jack, Jalen Ramsey, Barry Church, A.J. Boye. If you don't know any of these names, you should. Those names are a few of the biggest names on the best defense in football. The best. This defense challenged Tom Brady and the Patriots for 4 hard-fought quarters. And I think that's definitely something to consider. And they're challenging him right now. They limited Tom Brady and his offense to 20 points. And I was actually watching this game, of course, to prepare for this show. And I was looking at the way the Jaguars forced the Patriots to not do well. And I looked at a particular drive. I'm forgetting which one it is because I was trying to remember. They're at the 2-minute warning right now, by the way, folks. Jaguars winning 31-20. And the Jaguars, what they did is they held the Patriots to a 3-and-out, and they had to pass it or run it to Sony Michael every single time. The Jaguars target the weakest player in the herd and just go at them. And the Jaguars, they do it perfectly. This defense is designed not to stop the big-name players. I mean, they do that. There's Jalen Ramsey here. But what they excel at is making the opposition throw to their weakest players. And it works. It works. Jacksonville Jaguars have established a system where they can do a lot of things right and not a lot of things wrong. But the thing is, I'm really concerned because they looked great. They looked great today, but the weird part about this offense is that receivers don't jump out at you as huge names. Dante Moncrief, Keelan Cole, Marquise Lee, Austin Seferian-Jenkins. Do those sound like big names to you? Day Westbrook. Like, these guys don't sound like the big names that you expect with a Super Bowl contender. And here's the thing. This offense is catered to every single guy in this team. This is not an offense that needs players to fit into the offense. This offense is designed so the offense fits into the players. This offense is honestly scary. You know why? Because I saw Keelan Cole play today as well. And Keelan Cole had a catch that people are already describing as the catch of the year. He basically, I can't really describe this. This is an amazing catch. He extends his arm out near the sideline and grabs it, and he kind of palms the football for something, and he just tiptoes and he then sprints for 20 more yards, and of course a first down. But and then Keelan Cole had another acrobatic touchdown. Keelan Cole, I like him a lot. I should have drafted him in all my fantasy drafts. I didn't at all. I'm going to regret that sooner than later. And he's been great. I like Keelan Cole a lot. And, the Jaguars have plenty of interesting stories, but, they play in Jacksonville. And Jacksonville is a pretty small place, but one thing that everybody is remembering is that the Jaguars are moving to London. And everybody's saying that that's what they're doing. But everybody is still saying that they're not, and now that they're winning, they're not going to do it. It sounds like they're not going to do it. And the Jaguars, the owner is based in London. They have a game in London every year. The people in London love them. Everybody's rumoring about the Jaguars moving to London. Everybody's saying, coming out with exclusives that they are, telling reasons that they are. And that's kind of a distraction, in my opinion. I think people are kind of annoyed by this by now, and especially me, because if your team is winning like the Jaguars are, and they are, and they sold out today, 97-degree weather, they sold out to see the Jaguars play the Patriots. 2-3 years ago, they wouldn't have done that, because the Patriots were too good. The Jaguars were seen as the worst teams in the NFL. But the Jaguars, over the course of last year and the first couple of games this year, have shown that they are a great football team, and the fans have started to believe in them. The fans are expecting results, and now they're getting results. So I feel like, for the time being, unless something big happens, or it just happens, I don't see a Jaguars to London at least until 2020, 2021. Not only because of money or how long it will take to move and whatever, but also just because they're too good right now. I was not an announcement until at least 2019, because they can't make it. That would ruin their season, by the way. That would ruin the fans for that season. If they just dropped that bombshell announcement that they were moving. Can you imagine? Honestly, let's consider this for a second. Can you imagine? Okay, imagine the Jaguars are first place in the AFC South, and you're on a roll. They're gonna make the playoffs. Everybody's super excited, and bam, they're moving to London. That's not gonna happen. Logically, 2019, 2020, I see as earliest announcement, because this team has the potential to be great right now, win a Super Bowl. What I'm trying to say here is, the Patriots are vulnerable now, guys. I don't know if I pointed this out in the last episode. I believe I did, but the Patriots are not the Warriors anymore. The Patriots are not the Warriors of football anymore. I mean, the Patriots can be knocked off their perch. And you know what? That's what the Jaguars are doing right now. And they just did. Because the Jaguars just won 31-20 over the New England Patriots. They comfortably won. They shut out the Patriots in the first quarter. They held the Patriots to 3 points in the first half. Kind of let them score a little bit in the second half. Have scored at least a touchdown at all but the third quarter. They dominated. Plain and simple. The Jacksonville Jaguars have the potential to win the AFC Championship and possibly the Super Bowl. Although, let's be honest, I'm not sure. I think... Okay, Eli Pearl's calling us again, folks. And we're going to talk to him for a moment. Let's see. Hey, Eli.
Hey.
How's it going?
For being flaky. My phone's at 2%, but you could call me.
Alright. Alright, Eli.
Sorry.
Alright, it's okay. Bye, Eli. Alright, folks. I know that's going to mess up everything, and I'm really, really sorry. I've really taken off the description and taken off everything. I would like to apologize about that. The logistics were not very good. Yeah, so Eli is not going to be with us on this show. I know, I'm sorry if this sounds unprofessional. If you're watching it, if you're listening to it live, or if you're listening to it not live, it sounds even sloppier. But, yeah, and I think we should just move on, guys. But the Jaguars are such an interesting team because you look at their division, and their division, like the NFC East, is now weirdly stacked. The Jaguars, here are the teams in their division. The Jaguars, the Titans, the Colts, and the Texans. So the Titans were great last year, too. They held their own with the Patriots for a while. You know, Marcus Mariota threw a touchdown to himself. I loved that. The Colts have Andrew Luck back, so anything's possible. And the Houston Texans are 0-2 right now. That's only because they played the Patriots and the aforementioned Titans. The Texans are a very good football team and are considered that right now. But they're 0-2. This is how good the AFC South is. This is very interesting. But you know, the Jaguars. Everybody's questioning them, and I'm just asking people why. Why are you questioning them? The AFC right now is vulnerable. There's a stacked division. The Jaguars have a really weird, have a bunch of weird stories and rumors surrounding them. But at the end of the day, the Jaguars can win the Super Bowl. The Jaguars can win the Super Bowl because of that stacked defense, because that offense is in the right system, and also because of the bit of their schedule. Next week, they play the Titans. They can beat them. On the Sunday after that, they can easily beat the Jets. They could beat the Chiefs. They can beat the Cowboys. They can beat the Texans. They can try and beat the Eagles. And if they can beat the Patriots, yeah, probably. They can beat the Colts. They can beat the Steelers. They can beat the Bills. They can beat the Colts again. They can beat the Titans again. They can beat the Redskins again. They can beat the Dolphins again. They can beat the Texans again. These teams are all beatable. Like the Jaguars are like on the top, are near the top, if not on top of the NFL. I mean, the Jaguars' schedule, I wouldn't say it's easy, but if they can beat the Patriots like that, possibilities are endless for this team, is what I'm trying to say. It could range from the Jaguars ending up 2-14 after these 2 wins to a ridiculously amazing season. What I'm trying to say is, if the Jaguars are so good, why can't they just win right away? Why? Because everybody's questioning them. And, looking at their team, I question them too. Leonard Fournette, everybody's saying he's going to take a step back. I see all these questionable for injury things. Everybody thinks the defense could fall apart if faced with tougher, more experienced teams, but those are the Patriots. I can't believe this. This is crazy. But one thing I do want to look at, guys, is something that I think I wanted to look at for a long time. There's there are contracts in the NFL. I hate to say it, but now they're actually important. The Jacksonville Jaguars are a team that I wouldn't say combustible, but are they gonna have a bunch of guys that are gonna be interesting? I don't know. In 2019, after this season... Wait a second. Oh, yeah. So after this season, the Jaguars will have a few notable free agents. I mean, a lot of them, naturally, because it's the NFL, but they're going to have... Oh, yeah, Dante Fowler Jr. is one. He's a very key member of their defense that I don't know why I didn't mention. Dante Moncrief, T.J. Yeldon, Corey Grant. They can lose a lot of their running back depth. They got a couple of starting guards. They got some tackles. They got some cornerbacks. They got their kicker. They got a lot of guys from their defense and offensive line. They got a bunch of skill positions. The Jaguars free agents are interesting because if they could re-sign Dante Moncrief, Dante Fowler Jr., T.J. Yeldon, Corey Grant, A.J. Cann, Tommy Bohannon, and Josh Lambo, and, I don't know, Josh Walker or something. If they can sign all of those guys or whatever, who knows, but I don't know. I mean, they probably want to go after the bigger fish in the free agent market, and that's what I want to look at for a second. That's what I want to look at for the upcoming free agent class. Ziggy Ansah's on there, Le'Veon Bell, Ndamukong Suh, Clay Matthews, LaMarcus Joyner, Larry Fitzgerald, Randall Cobb, Earl Thomas, Josh McCown, the aforementioned Moncrief, Cameron Wake, Sheldon Richardson. But let's just look at defensive players right now. Let's just look at defense and see how much better the Jaguars could get. They could lure some guys to their defense. Let's say they re-sign Fowler Jr. They could lure Ezekiel Ansah, DeMarcus Lawrence, Ndamukong Suh, Clay Matthews, Marcus Joyner, Earl Thomas, Cameron Wake, Sheldon Richardson, Brian Arapko, Tyrann Mathieu, Morris Claiborne, KJ Wright, Thomas Davis, Buster Skrine, Jadeveon Clowney, Terrell Suggs, Julius Peppers, Vontae Davis. Never mind about him. And Vontae Davis, we'll talk about him later. He's interesting. He retired in halftime, reportedly. That's a whole different story. But what I'm trying to say is the Jaguars, if they have enough money to play with, and I'm not saying they will, who knows, but the Jaguars might try and, I know this might sound scary, but they might try to improve their defense. Improve their already stacked defense. And I'm going to wrap it up here by saying that the defense and the offense and the plays built around the offense, not the other way around, make the Jaguars serious Super Bowl contenders. They can win the Super Bowl. My prediction for them, they make it to the AFC Championship game. They probably win, lose the Super Bowl, I'm guessing. I don't know. Somebody, I don't know, I'm not sure who, but really the Jaguars have, the possibilities are endless for them. And speaking of endless possibilities, it's time to talk about our next team, the Milwaukee Bucks. And the Milwaukee Bucks have interesting stories across the board, but everything seems to come back to Giannis Antetokounmpo. And he is on the cover of NBA 2K19 this year. He's joining the class that includes, from the past few years, Kyrie Irving, Steph Curry, James Harden, Anthony Davis were in 2016. They had all three of them on the cover. Kevin Durant, LeBron James, Blake Griffin, Kevin Durant, and Derrick Rose in 2013. Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, Magic Johnson in 2012. 2011, Michael Jordan and Shaq. 2010, Kobe Bryant. 2009, Kevin Garnett. 2008, Chris Paul, Shaquille O'Neal, Ben Wallace, Allen Iverson. They have so many great guys that they can. That so many great players that Giannis Antetokounmpo is joining in the NBA 2K cover lore. But I want to talk about how he got to this point. I want to talk about what is probably one of the thinnest drafts of this century, maybe the thinnest draft of this century, the 2013 NBA draft. And number one overall, I don't know if you guys remember him. His name is Anthony Bennett. Anthony Bennett was drafted by the Cleveland Cavaliers first overall, and his potential was crazy. He was drafted to pick ahead of Oladipo, ahead of Antetokounmpo, ahead of a lot of All-Stars. We'll get to in a second. I would like to say that if Anthony Bennett became the guy he was supposed to be before LeBron James arrived, and they still had Kyrie Irving, would they have traded for Kevin Love if they still got that number? They did take the number one pick. So let's say they still trade for Kevin Love. Imagine if Anthony Bennett had lived up to this potential, LeBron James would have definitely come into the categories, because you got Irving, now good Bennett, let's say, Kevin Love, and Kyrie Irving. That's a stacked lineup. LeBron James' decision might have been even easier in 2014. But, Victor Oladipo drafted second overall. Otto Porter, Cody Zeller, Alex Len. Again, a bunch of guys who have been okay. Nerlens Noel has been a bust. Ben McLemore, who I think won Rookie of the Year. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, who's been great for the Pistons, will be good. I expect he'll be good for the Lakers now. LeBron, Trey Burke, 9th. CJ McCollum, who's amazing. I love him. One of the best shooting guards in the league. 10th. Michael Carter-Williams, who's been a huge bust. 11th. Steven Adams, who's been amazing. 12th. Kelly Olynyk, 13th. And a guy drafted ahead of Giannis Antetokounmpo was a guy named Shabazz Muhammad. And Shabazz Muhammad, first of all, this stings a bit for me personally. He was at UCLA. I liked him a lot. I watched him play. Not live, but I watched him play for UCLA, followed his arc through the league, followed his career. And he's been a bit of a disappointment. He's now back up for Minnesota. He, in the past, his best field goal percentage has been 489. He's, in his career, he's been a 473 shooter, 319 from 3, 510 from 2, 75% from three-point line, 151 career assists over 6 seasons, 81 career steals, 24 career blocks. Well, that's not so bad. But, I mean, points per game is a problem, I think. Per every 36 minutes, which is basically points per game for him. His highest has been 21.3, 27.8, 18.5. What I'm trying to say is, he's been good but not great. Like, this guy has, he's been so polarizing. Like, I don't know what to say with him. Like, he went back to Milwaukee this year, he did better. He went to Milwaukee this year, he did better. But, like, first of all, that's kind of full circle. Shabazz Muhammad comes to Milwaukee, where the guy drafted one spot behind him is one of the best players in the NBA. But he was drafted a spot ahead of Giannis, and I wonder what would have happened if Giannis was drafted into Minnesota, and then the Bucks got Muhammad. Let's say that happens, because then if you have him and you still make the Wiggins trade and everything else plays out the exact same, let's just say we have Wiggins. The Timberwolves have Wiggins. The Timberwolves have Towns. The Timberwolves have Antetokounmpo. The Timberwolves would have they would have Jimmy Butler still. Let's just stretch it and say Chris Dunn still stays with them. I mean, Zach LaVine. That's a stacked team if they get Antetokounmpo. If the Jazz draft Antetokounmpo and still trade him to Minnesota, because that's what happened with Muhammad. But the other guy I want to talk about is a guy that was also drafted more recently, drafted actually in the second round of the 2016 NBA draft, but ended up being the Rookie of the Year. And I want to talk about Malcolm Brogdon. I watched an episode of this show called Game of Zones. You may have heard of it, Bleacher Report. And he said, basically, Malcolm Brogdon basically says, everybody's debating Rookie of the Year, Ben Simmons, Jason Tatum, and so on. Malcolm Brogdon's like, no one will remember who won. They say, who are you? And I think that kind of serves true, because everybody kind of forgot about Malcolm Brogdon after he won Rookie of the Year, because there's so many more big names in that draft, like, that are still talked about now. Like, 2016 draft, you have Ben Simmons, Brandon Ingram, Jaylen Brown, Buddy Hield, Marquise Chris, Jamal Murray, Thon Maker, Taurean Prince, Denzel Valentine, Karis LeVert, I guess. I don't know. But the thing is, Malcolm Brogdon, he's better than all of them, and he wasn't even drafted in the first round. He had 10.2 points per game first year. I mean, this shows how bad everybody truly was. Field goal percentage, 457 from the field, free throw percentage of 86. But here's the thing, guys. He won Rookie of the Year. He probably would have if the class wasn't so good this year. He probably he had his 2018 season. He would have won Rookie of the Year in 2016-17 too with his 2017-18 season. Because folks, he did better in 2018. He played less games. He played 48 games when we started 20 of them. He had 45 from the field. 385 and 3.0, which is a little regression for the first year, but whatever. He uptick in points per game, 13.0. Up in blocks, a little bit down in steals, but still good. A little bit down in assists, but now he's scoring more, which is good for him. Actually, he's improving from 2 points with the easy shots. He's improving from the free throw line. He's just improving. Overall, Malcolm Brogdon is improving, and I'm looking at their depth chart now. The Bucks depth chart is interesting because they have Malcolm Brogdon, who I already talked about. Giannis Antetokounmpo is their starting power forward. He's ridiculous. Honestly, he might be top 5, top 3 players in the NBA. And then you got 3 guys who are also all very interesting, but are all completely different from each other and are all interesting in different ways. The first guy is Eric Bledsoe. Eric Bledsoe, if you don't know who Eric Bledsoe is, fine, really. Basically, Eric Bledsoe was a career son for a long not a career son, but he was a son for a long time. He was a son from 2013 on until 2018. Early in 2018, after playing just 3 games with him, and starting all of them, by the way, Eric Bledsoe tweeted 5 words that would change the fate of the Milwaukee Bucks. He tweeted, "I don't want to be here." Of course, Eric Bledsoe claimed he was referring to a barber shop that he wanted to get out of, and it was taking too long to get his hair cut. But everybody else agreed that he didn't want to be a Phoenix Sun, so shortly after that, he was shipped off to the Milwaukee Bucks. Just like that. And I think this is fascinating. I mean, after he got traded to the Bucks, he started 71 games as starting point guard for the Bucks over Brogdon, who of course was hurt. He played 31.5 minutes per game. His field goal percentage was .476. His 3-point percentage was 34%. Eric Bledsoe may not have wanted to be there in Phoenix, but even if he didn't want to be there in Milwaukee, he didn't show it. I mean, crazy, absolutely crazy. Another thing is that is there other 2 guys who I think are interesting. The first guy, the second guy in that point guard, small forward, center combo that aren't Brogdon and Antetokounmpo, who are also very interesting, is Brook Lopez. Now, Brook Lopez, I mean, man, Brook Lopez has a weird story. He was drafted 10th overall in the 2008 NBA draft, 10th overall in the 2008 draft by the New Jersey Nets, who became the Brooklyn Nets down the line. And he was drafted ahead of guys like Robin Lopez, Roy Hibbert, JaVale McGee, Ryan Anderson, I guess. This is not Serge Ibaka. This is not a very deep draft class. DeAndre Jordan, I guess. Yeah, but basically my point is he was drafted in a draft class that included Derrick Rose, Russell Westbrook, Kevin Love, Neil Gallinari, Eric Gordon. Those are some of the guys that were selected ahead of and just ahead of him. Kevin Love, 5 picks ahead of him. Russell Westbrook, 5 picks ahead. 6 picks ahead of him. Neil Gallinari, 4 picks ahead of him. He had a great potential, and his stats over the years with the Nets. I mean, he's been great. He's been serviceable, and he was a centerpiece on that Nets team for a long time. He endured that move. He played in 5 ways. He played for the Lakers, and then he went to the Bucks, of course, this year, who we're talking about. But the career leaders and everything. And I'm going to look at this right now, is, Brook Lopez is not super far in the every. Brook Lopez, the career leader in games played for the New Jersey Nets / Brooklyn Nets is Buck Williams. Number 2 with 562 career games played is one Brook Lopez, and minutes played. Brook Lopez is number 3 behind Williams and Kidd. Field goals, Brook Lopez has the most career field goals, most career field goal attempts, second most career 2-point field goals. Brook Lopez missed the second most field goals behind only Jason Kidd. Free throws, Brook Lopez has number 3. Rebounds, again, just behind Buck Williams, number 2. Number 1, and by the way, and this is one of the most important one. Number 1 career points for the New Jersey Nets in the / Brooklyn Nets in their history is Brook Lopez. He just before the season ended, and he signed with the Lakers in 2017. Brook Lopez notched 4 points to get ahead by 4 points over Buck Williams. He has the most points in Nets history. And then he left. And that's why I think he's so interesting. Because he's at a weird point in his career right now. Because nobody really knows what to think. Like, he's been a Net and, like, in that number 1, in that alpha dog but center role his, like, entire career before that little season with the Lakers, which was weird and didn't really end well. But where Brook Lopez is right now, he doesn't need to be a star. He has Giannis, Bledsoe, Brogdon. I don't know what he's going to do, because he has the potential to be really good, but, you look at their center spot, they got backups like John Henson, Thon Maker, busting Tyler Zeller, but you never know, but, they got a lot of backups in a lot of places, like Dante DiVincenzo, Tony Snell, Ersan Ilyasova is backup at power forward. Brook Lopez, if he doesn't do too well, he's out. Like, he's really interesting. And then, Chris Middleton. Chris Middleton's still their starting small forward, and I think he's really interesting because everybody was talking about his potential, but he was, everybody was saying that he's a good wing guy. I heard a Jimmy Butler comparison to him once a few years ago. I mean, he's interesting. He was drafted 39th overall by the Pistons. He played in 27 games, 0 starts. I think this might have been a thing of where he was, but the very next season, his sophomore year, he played in 82 games and started 64 of them, 30 minutes per game. And guess what? His points per game doubled. 14-15, 79 games, 58 starts, 13.4. 15-16, 79 games, 79 starts, 18.2 points per game. And just last year, 82 games, 82 starts, 20.1 points per game. This is one of the biggest steals I've heard about in the second rounds since a guy like DeAndre Jordan, Draymond Green. If you guys are talking about steals in the second round, but also underrated, under-the-radar players in general, Chris Middleton. I mean, he's good. He's the number 5 option on that team, but he's still 20.1 points per game last year. I mean, that's something to seriously, consider. I mean, basically what I'm trying to say is the Bucks are more than Giannis. But on that note, we got to talk about Giannis again. Giannis, man, I can't get over this guy. He was drafted 15th in one of the weakest drafts of the 21st century. Last year he had 27 points per game. He had a 52% field goal percentage, but the one thing that could bring him down was shooting from 3. But here's the thing: he had the highest. He had the highest 3-point percentage in his rookie year last year. He played 75 games, started all 75. He's never played 82 games in a season, but that's because they need to rest him. He's unbelievable. There's no real hacka. There's no hacka Giannis, because he's 76% from the free throw line last year, 77 the year Back, folks, we had a bit of connection problems, but what I was talking about before that was Giannis Antetokounmpo and the All-Star draft of last year, which I thought was very interesting. I don't know if what you guys heard before the. We've had a lot of problems today, but well, it was very interesting, is what I'm trying to say. But here's the draft. You know. What is going on over here? So Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant were on his team. We're on the Browns team, and Stephen Curry. Nobody's talking about the thing about Giannis is that he's the only reason why the Bucks are talked about. The other four players are great too, but and not just because of the how the hell do you pronounce his last not how the heck do you pronounce his last name, but Giannis. If it wasn't for Giannis Antetokounmpo, I'm not sure the Bucks would get as much attention as they do. And even with Giannis, they still don't get the deserved attention they have. Even without, because without Giannis, they're still good. They could put in a guy like Chris Middleton, put him at like one of their good centers like John Henson or Thonmaker, power forward. Keep Chris Middleton in. I mean, this Bucks team is very good, and I just want to wrap it up real quickly by saying, the Bucks, you should pay attention to him for a reason other than Giannis Antetokounmpo. And I wanted to wrap up today by just talking about, again, the Oakland Days. This is basically David versus Goliath. This is Moneyball 16 years later. If you are on any day, if the Oakland Days, alright, let's train of thought. If the Oakland Days get into this game, they play against the Yankees, and it is October 3rd, and you are tired, but you still want to watch a baseball game. If it's October 3rd and you want to see the best matchup possible, look no further than the 2018 American League wildcard game. If the A's play against the Yankees, and if this stays on track, and the A's play the Yankees in, I believe in New York, on a huge stage, basically, it's win or go home. If that happens, you will not want to miss it. And guess what? Don't be surprised if the A's pull out the win. If the Jaguars can make the Super Bowl. If the Bucks can challenge for the spot for the Eastern Conference in the NBA Finals. Don't be surprised, because the three teams I chose for a reason. Because these teams can win, and they can win now, but no one cares because they're not as big as teams like the Yankees or the Cowboys or the Lakers. But guess what? These teams can win, and they can win now, and you better believe it. Because it's going to be coming at you faster than you think. And, folks, that was the second episode of Under the Radar. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Sammy Bovitz. Of course, by the way, just another thing, if you want to email me, there's new Under the Radar mailbag, undertheRadarNSR@gmail.com. You can email me with your questions or your comments for this week's episode. I will see you guys next time. Thank you guys so much. Keep looking for those teams out there, and make sure the Under the Radar teams are not under the radar to you. My name is Sammy Bovitz. Thank you so much for listening in. Good night.